Hey guys, what's up? Well, new video, and this is a little bit different video. Well, every video I make is different, but that's not the point. Today, I want to talk about something I always wanted to talk about, something big. And today I actually want to talk about modern horror films. And I don't mean, when I say modern, that I mean horror movies from 1970s and all up to now. No, I mean horror movies in present day. As you know, I'm a big fan of horror films. Horror films is, yeah, it's my favorite genre. And, drama is also one of my favorites. But horror is just horror, monster films, and thriller. That's my kind of movies. That's my kind of genre. We have Hitchcock, we have John Carpenter, Todd Browning, and a lot of other greats. Those are the directors that give me, suspense and terrifying, horrifying movie feeling. That's the horror movie I love. And I just have to say, horror movies in present day sucks. Yes. Every goddamn, well, almost every goddamn horror films in present day sucks. Now, maybe you like some of them. Of course, I have found some movies I do like. But most of the time, everyone sucks. Now, I'm going to tell you why, and I don't know if this is going to be a two-part video. I don't know, but I have a lot of things to say. So maybe 15 minutes won't be enough. So we'll see. So let's begin. So, the oldest horror film I have in my collection is Nosferatu. Now, I love this film. It's actually one of my favorite horror films. First off, it's one of the first vampire films. And, the vampire in this film is just absolutely brilliant. He looks, Max Schreck, who plays Dracula, he is freaking scary. And they use the same kind of Dracula in Salem's Lot, which is also one of the greatest vampire films I've seen. It's a silent film, but I could never see this film in sound, because that would just be weird. I'm a not big fan of silent films. I do watch a lot of horror silent films because I like those. But like drama, well, I like comedy too, but drama or something like that in silent film, that's just not my type. But this is just a really great horror film, and it's the oldest horror film I have in my collection. It's from 1922, and it's a great silent film. And this is actually very scary, in my opinion. It creeped me out. The whole film creeped me out. So yeah, Nosferatu is a great film. I forgot why yeah, but Nosferatu is just a masterpiece of horror films. Yes, it's a masterpiece. So it comes to the 30s, we have the Golden Age classics, which most of the horror films there is my favorites. I don't have all of them, but it's not easy to get everything on DVD. But I've been trying to collecting some of them. Of course, we have Dracula. This is just a masterpiece of horror films. Just like Nosferatu, this is a great vampire film. and it's just fantastic. It's absolutely, yeah. The Mummy, this is the first Mummy movie, well, one of the first. Uh, Great film. I'm not a really big fan of Mummy films, but this was just really good. I mean, it was a great film. I really liked it, but I still do like Dracula a little bit better. Then we have one of the greatest horror films, the most is one of the most iconic movie monsters of all time. It's Frankenstein. There's the Legacy collection, you know, which have Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, and House of Frankenstein. I see them all. Everyone is great, just classic. The Wolfman Legacy collection, which has the Wolfman, Werewolf of London, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and She-Wolf of London. I've seen them all, just great. And the last one I have in my collection, which is the classic one, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is not from the 30s, it's from 50s, I think. I think it stands here, but I think it's from the 50s, I'm not sure, but this is also, I prefer it as a Golden Age film. And this is a great film, I mean, come on. And those are the movies that started the whole genre. If you know, Nosferatu and many movies before that, you know, Frankenstein from 1910, yeah, very old, and you know, those are silent films, and I don't think they were very, you know, popular at that time. I don't think a lot of people know about those kind of films. You know, horror films have always been like, you know, there's not a lot of horror films that won Oscars, you know, or something like that, and it's very rare some horror films get nominated or anything, you know. And that's the really downside of the genre. It's really sad because, you know, it is a movie. That, you know, genres, you know, drama has always been the highlight. Of course, you gotta agree with that. Drama has always been the highlight. In comedy, you know, action films, well, not actually action films, but mostly drama films and science fiction and all that. Those are always the highlight films, and that's not fair, you know. Even though it's movies have different genres, there still is movies, and they, of course, horror films are, a lot of them are cheap and all that, but give them a little chance, you know. But let's not get into that now. If Dracula, Frankenstein, those are two famous movies, and people saw them in the theater at the time when they came out. You know, they were big hits. And if they wouldn't be made, then the horror genre, there would be horror films, but it would never been as popular as it is today. It would just been like, oh, horror, yeah. Horror is like, you know, I don't want to say that documentaries are genres that's not big. Of course, I like commentaries, documentaries, but you know, they often don't get a lot of respect, same as horror films. And you could say that horror films would be down with documentaries. It would be nowadays. And now I'm not thinking about, you know, Hollywood and Oscars and all that. No, I'm thinking about fanboys. Alright? Fanboys like me. I would never really care for horror, I think. Because they wouldn't made all these great, you know, Halloween, Jaws, Psycho, and of course, yeah, Dracula, but yeah. And there's just, horror have just been better and better and better after each age. They've just been better. The 30s, the golden age, yeah, great classics. The 40s, the continuation of the Golden Age classics. You know, a lot of sequels of the originals from the 30s and the 50s. There were the monster films. Yeah, the monster age. You know, we had. I don't really have much, but I have, you know, a lot of science fiction. Earth versus the Flying Saucers, The Thing from Another World, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Tarantula, a lot of those kind of films. And then we come to the 60s, which have more, well, the 60s was just the 60s. I can't come up with a lot of films. Psycho, of course, Night of the Living Dead, and yeah, can't come up with a lot of films, but the 60s was more like more kind of modern horror films. They were much more violent. Then we're the 70s, which is a big year of horror films. It begins with, you know, a lot of great Exorcist, The Omen, Last House on the Left. And then we came to more like Jaws, which became a big hit and still is a big hit. It was the first summer blockbuster film, and it's just absolutely fantastic how they treated Jaws as not a horror film but a masterpiece along other films like drama and those kind of films. And that's I really appreciate that, because I love Jaws. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's just really great to just, when I just mention Jaws to some strangers and they're like, ah, Jaws, I've seen that movie, great film, you know. Everybody knows it because it does stand along with other classics. And then we come to Halloween, The Hills of Ice, and Alien. And then the biggest year of the horror films. It's the 80s. It is one of the biggest years of horror films ever. I mean, come on, you gotta agree with that. Now there was blood, guts all over the place, and all kind of special effects, and there were more obscure films and slasher films, a lot of slasher films, starting with Friday the 13th in 1980, and The Burning, and Maniac, and a lot of others. You know, I've seen tons of slasher films from the early 80s. But as the 80s moved forward, they kind of walked down the hill, I feel. After 85, 86, we go two ones. Well, I don't know every kind of horror films, but I remember two ones, Hellraiser and Child's Play. Those are ones that I thought were the last ones in the 80s, the last great ones in the 80s. Then we come to the 90s, and I can't come up with a lot of good horror films in the 90s. We got some remakes of the classic ones. We got a Mummy, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and some okay films. And we do get some good ones, but not much. Then we come to the 2000s. So check out part 2, where we're gonna talk about the modern horror films, the present day horror films. We're gonna go through the whole 2000, talking about horror films. Check it out.